What is happening, my fine ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and today, as we enter 2019, we're going to take a look back at 2018 and some of the highs and lows. First off, though, I've got a USS Massachusetts to give away. If you want a chance to win her, enter the link in the description of this video. Best of luck. I really do love that ship. It's just so much fun with the secondaries. Anyhow, starting at the beginning of 2018, North America was rocked with the closing of the Emeryville office in California. The move was a surprise to many, but considering the cost of California, it made sense to consolidate with Austin, where wargaming already had a footprint. We said goodbye to many familiar faces, but also said hello to many more. Throughout the year, even a few contributors would find their way onto Austin's staff. Space Mode made a comeback. It had been since the closed beta since we've seen it, but the April Fool's event delighted many and became the testing ground for dynamic weather. We also saw the split of the USN cruiser line, and Worcester cemented itself as one of the best cruisers in the game. Around the same time, Wargaming also introduced the new game mode Arms Race and teased other potential game modes. One of those made it into operations at the end of the year. Twilight features a PUBG-like circle that shrinks, constricting the battlefield and forcing players to fight. Another ship line launched with the inclusion of British destroyers, filling what many felt was a fairly large void. The line probably should have come out sooner, but better late than never. The carrier rework got into full swing and players got their first look and hands-on attempt at the new and revised version. Gone is the real-time strategy version of carriers, and here to stay will be a more hands-on approach. This rework has been very polarizing, but most players seem to be in favor of some form of change. Another big announcement that sent literal shockwaves around the community was that submarines would be making an appearance in the Halloween missions. Even more shocking was an admission from Wargaming that they'd actively be looking at adding submarines to the client. If you thought aircraft carriers were polarizing, you ain't seen nothing yet. This fall saw the first North America World of Warships only standalone event in Anaheim, California at the esports arena. Boasting almost all NACCs and a ton of fans, Anchor's Aweigh Anaheim was fun for all and hopefully shows that Wargaming can stand on its own legs without the support of World of Tanks. We had a number of premium ships released this year, and I'm going to give you my top 5. These 5 are up here for a number of reasons. They were either good, caused controversy, or both, so here goes. Number 5, the T-61. This German destroyer reminds me of a quote from Lord of the Rings. Some things that should not have been forgotten were lost. History became legend, legend became myth, and T-61, which I want to say was teased last year, kind of fell out of thought and time for most players. And then finally it was released this year. The plucky destroyer quickly cemented itself as a fan favorite, capable of doing some very, very nasty things. So there's your number 5, T-61, which I think most players will agree is a very, very good destroyer. Number 4, Boise, or Nueve de Julio, whichever one you want to call it, because they're both the same thing. This ship or these ships make the list more for the controversy surrounding them, which was twofold. First, the controversy that Boise was being changed to Nueve de Julio. Many fans of the famous USN cruiser felt slighted with that move. Then of course came the controversy of the Nueve de Julio being a prison boat to lock away political dissidents. It was a double whammy. Wargaming relented though and offered both ships as one, which I think was a pretty classy move on their part. In the end, the ships proved themselves as good premiums, being able to sling 15 fire-starting shells and having British-style repair parties, so it's not that this ship was just controversial, it was also a pretty good premium ship, though it might be a little underrated. Moving on to number 3, USS West Virginia, another ship that caused a lot of controversy. This is kind of becoming a thing, isn't it? This whole controversy around premium ships. A lot of players, this one included, were a little miffed when they found out that the 1941 version of West Virginia was going to be released, and not the 1944 version that many were hoping for, based on the history and just what it did during World War II. In the end, though, players were mostly pleased with the release of a stock Colorado at Tier 6, which hits like a tank, providing you can actually connect your shells. So there's your number 3, USS West Virginia. Number 2, USS Massachusetts and Jean Bart. This one's a tie at number 2, and in my opinion, both these ships are very, very worthy of their places. And I might have even put Jean Bart at number 2 and Massachusetts at number 1 overall. Massachusetts kind of surprised people who thought it was going to be just another Alabama, but what they didn't know was that the USN would get its first true secondary gun monster battleship. Massachusetts quickly became a fan favorite. Conversely, Jean Bart just seemed to garner a ton of interest from the very get-go, with many players lining up to get their hands on her. In the end, Jean Bart proved to be very formidable, though her reload booster went through several iterations, and for a while, kind of went back and forth between strong and weak until they found that somewhat happy medium. In the beginning, though, that reload booster was a little overpowering. Jean Bart also became the first ship available for both cull and purchase in the premium store. And number 1. The number 1 premium of the year is only here by virtue of its controversy. Well, that's the third controversial ship on this list. And technically, this ship shouldn't even be here because it's a reward ship, not for purchase. Which is why, really, Jean Bart, Massachusetts should take that number 2 and number 1 spot. But I can't leave this ship off the list. I just can't. So here we are. Your number 1 premium / reward ship of the year is the Stalingrad. And the Stalingrad, as we know, has caused a ton of controversy. First, its firepower and survivability led players to cry foul with fears it would be misused in clan battles and create insurmountable hurdles for teams without them. This was partly unfounded, though there have been some teams running multiple Stalingrads that have fared very well in clans right now. The other issue with Stalingrad was the steel price tag, which effectively put the ship behind a paywall that the vast majority of players couldn't get past. And that leads to another big item from 2018, the diluting and inflation of the WoW's economy. But I digress. Wargaming somewhat relented, making steel easier to get for the masses in the near future with snowflakes. Despite that, Stalingrad remains one of the most polarizing and controversial ships ever. And with that, those are your top 5 premiums of the year, and a look back at 2018 overall. Again, for a chance to win your own Massachusetts, find the link in the description. I want to know what your top moments of 2018 were. What were your favorite premiums of 2018? What do you want to see in 2019? Let me know in the comments. I hope you had a wonderful 2018, and I hope you have an even better 2019. Happy New Year, everyone. Zoop out.